Hi guys, one of the most frustrating things about Brexit at the moment is the Labour government's refusal to talk about it. There's a real opportunity for the new administration to blame, and rightly so, a lot of the problems they and UK businesses are facing on the fact that the UK is no longer a member of the EU and that Great Britain is no longer a member of the single market. But instead of responding to the question, is this down to Brexit, when the clear answer is yes, the business secretary for some reason tap dances around the fact. Something I find completely mind-boggling.
We've got to acknowledge now we're not part of the European Union. We don't get a say in that. I'm afraid this is one of the consequences, and there isn't a great deal we can do other than explain how we can assist businesses in navigating these rules. We don't get a say in what the European Union does anymore.
I mean, this is a consequence of Brexit, isn't it?
Well, in terms of there being some rules that we don't think are particularly necessarily the right balance of how onerous they are.
Oh my goodness, it's not about the rules. Why can't you answer the frigging question? Is this about Brexit? Yes, it is. It's all about Brexit. Completely about Brexit. These new regulations, they're actually not that new, but they were written about a year ago. But these regulations that will affect the UK from the 13th of December are absolutely, completely down to Brexit. Why can't he say, yes, it's down to Brexit? Because there's an opportunity here. There's both an economic opportunity and a political opportunity. Because the UK government can say, look, we would like to do X, Y, and Z, but we can't because of Brexit. They can say, look, there are politicians around who sold you the idea that everything would be wonderful. Nigel frigging Farage, for example, who told you everything would be wonderful if we left the European Union, but everything is not wonderful. Jonathan should actually invite Nigel Farage to meet with some of these small business owners to explain to them why it's beneficial to be outside the European Union and the single market. And Nigel Farage can say, well, it's not my fault or whatever. That's not going to help these small businesses. But I really don't understand why Labour are not saying, yes, it's down to Brexit. Because the majority of people in the Labour Party are pro-European. So this isn't going to upset the apple cart within the Labour Party. But it would be honesty, a bit of honesty, and it would undermine Nigel Farage and the Tories. You say, yes, this is down to Brexit. The small businesses are going to struggle because of Brexit.
They offer small business. Yes, we don't get a say in those. Now, when it comes to improving that relationship with the European Union, there's a lot the government can do in terms of removing border checks. We've obviously got the same standards on things like food at the minute, but have a lot of friction.
But this doesn't impact food. This is for non-food items. I've covered this in another video. Why are you talking about food here? This impacts, for example, small producers like who sell goods on Etsy or on eBay. This has nothing to do with food. There's a different standard when it comes to food. Why doesn't he just say, look, Brexit was a disaster. We would like to do X, Y, and Z, but we can't because of Brexit. And the people who sold you Brexit are still around. While Boris Johnson is no longer an MP, Nigel Farage is now an MP. He's running a party and he's still backing the idea that Brexit was a good idea.
Friction at the border, a lot of red tape. So the government's got an agenda that's committed to minimising some of those. But I'm always frank with people, and to state the obvious, Brexit isn't just about what happens when you leave the single market. It's about kind of how that will evolve in future. We'll go in a different direction simply by not being part of a set of rules that are going to be implemented. And I've got to balance that very carefully in terms of what it means for Northern Ireland, where some of those rules will still apply.
It's frustrating. It's deeply frustrating because, as I said, there's an opportunity here to inform the public about what they voted for. You voted to make yourself poorer. You voted to impose economic sanctions upon Britain. You voted to make it difficult, more difficult for small businesses in particular to operate. Now, our hands are tied. There's very little we can do about this. Be honest with the public. Jonathan Reynolds said, I like to be straight. Well, he wasn't very straight with the public here. He tried to tap dance. He did eventually mention the word Brexit, but he tap danced around the question, is this down to Brexit? And then he started talking about food, which is unrelated to this. I honestly don't understand. Is it about the red wall? Is it about people who voted for Brexit but then voted for Labour at the recent election? Is there this fear that it's going to turn off certain voters? I actually think the public would appreciate a bit of honesty around this. I honestly believe that. Some people may be regretting their vote, but I think they would prefer the government would say, look, we would like to do a lot of things. We would like to build lots of homes, but it's going to be difficult because we left the single market and the customs union and the European Union. It's going to be difficult to get the workers in. It's going to be difficult to get the materials in. It's going to be expensive. We want to do these things, but Nigel Farage, who's constantly attacking us for not achieving these goals, is the guy who sold you the idea of leaving in the first place. I really wish, it's so frustrating, I really wish the government would be honest about this. There's an opportunity there to say we want to build 1.5 million homes, but we're going to struggle. Why are we going to struggle? Because of what Nigel Farage sold you. So stop believing in Nigel Farage. He doesn't have your interests at heart. He doesn't care about you. We want to build those homes, and we'll do our best. That's the most they can do. But it would be honest. As opposed to what Nigel Farage is saying, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop immigration. We're going to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, bring down immigration. We're going to stop all these people coming in. And then this will free up homes for British people. We'll prioritise. He's a lying charlatan. How many times does he have to lie to people before they realise that he's a liar? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.